Sorry, I'm not on mute.
All right, and we are live. We're live on YouTube and on Zoom and around the world. Welcome to Triple T number 50. That is a 50. We are 2 away from a full year of filling your ear with all sorts of interesting stuff. My name is TJ Zebill. I call myself a professional problem solver. Yes, I got a bunch of wallpaper back here, but it doesn't mean a whole lot unless you can share what's in your brain with other people. And that's what this platform is all about. If this is your first time here or your first time watching the recording, please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, share with as many people as you can, leave as many comments as you almost feel comfortable with. We do this every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Central. We run for 2 hours. First hour, I've got a couple of topics that I'll pick, and I go over them, give you my thoughts, my ideas, ask for feedback and comments. Second hour is open platform, open mic. If you have a subject you would like some help with or questions, ask, and we have all the attendees have the opportunity to chime in. I also like to find out how everybody's been, if they've had any ahas, epiphanies, anything to share since the last time we were here 7 days ago. Anybody got any stories or something you want to share quick?
Sure. I learned not to cut butter in the palm of my hand and to put it down on a platform. And also, I got another podcast as a success coach and a teacher. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
I like how you said the wallpaper behind you, unless you can share it. I like that. That was really cool. And thank you to all of you awesome people, because I was going back to recordings of, I think really specifically for me, 46, 47, 48 triple T's, and awesome insight and help and hearing things again, to the point that I broke out my notebook. So thank you guys.
Oh. Well, thank you for sharing that. Anybody else got anything you want to share quick?
I'll just say really fast. I know we've discussed several times the importance of looking for your next job when you've got your current one. And many of you know that I recently applied for and hopefully got a new job. But during the week, I found out that it might not go through. And because I was already looking for my next job, it didn't freak me out as much as it would have done otherwise. So thank you for that.
Awesome. I'm also going to stress again the importance of, in spare time, especially these days, building your side hustle. Anybody that has one of these little mini computers in your pocket, you have such potential for income that it is virtually unprecedented. And kids these days, kids are proving it every day. 17-year-old first-time millionaires in their family. So they didn't come from traditional money or, parents that were big-time business people or whatever, but they're figuring it out, and they're making bank on their phone, online. Crazy. So, and here I am talking. I've got about 7 of them that I'm interested in, but I'm so buried into a project. Those of you that know me well enough know that I'm in the middle of doing a complete gut and remodel of an apartment in our shop. which has been a fun learning experience, reminder. Sometimes we get reminded of just because you know how to do something doesn't mean that that's what you should be doing for income. I have probably more tools than the average contractor out there. And I hired a contractor and another helper to help with the big stuff, framing up the walls and finishing the sheetrock, and was even able to give insights, suggestions, shortcuts. We ended up, we were teaching each other, which was awesome. I'm paying these guys to help me. Most people would say I hired them to work for me. But I got the privilege of saying I hired them to help me. And we were going back and forth and teaching each other shortcuts. And the guy that owns the business actually offered me a job. I'm like, okay, I appreciate that, but I got better ways to make money that will not shorten my body functioning lifespan. I tell you what, more than once in the last 3 months or so in this project, I was, shall we say, sadly reminded that I'm not 20 anymore. I can still keep up with the boys, but the mornings are when my body's going, hey, you're not 20 anymore. So take care of yourself, take care of your body, keep in shape, because you still got a long ways to go. Which brings me to another great reminder that helped me keep it in perspective from an old guy when I was around the rodeo arena. And he was like, so you thinking about doing rodeo, huh? And I'm like, I'm a tough dude. Yeah, I could ride a horse. And he's like, all right. Before you decide to do anything, take a good look at the people who've been doing it a long time. Do they have the lifestyle you're looking for? Do they have the health that you're looking for, that you hope to have at their age? Are they driving the vehicles that you hope to be driving when you get to their age? Are they as happy as you want to be when you get to be their age? And it made me stop and look at some of these guys that have been doing this for quite a while. And by quite a while, I mean these guys were in their 40s, 50s. Yet some of them looked like they were in their 90s. Same thing when I was doing construction. I was looking at, the guys doing roofing, guys doing cement work. And their bodies are just, they paid for it with their bodies, but yet they're still driving beat up old machines. The guys that are driving the big, nice, brand new 1-ton trucks with the big trailers and everything, you'll notice their age and how many people they have working for them and what jobs they will take on. And also part of it is going to be their mindset. Back then, I didn't have the right mindset. My mistake was, well, would I pay somebody that much to do it? Well, no, because I knew how to do it. Why would I pay somebody $125 an hour when I could do it? I would maybe pay them 35, 40 bucks an hour. So that's what I charged. And so I was driving an old truck or an old van because I was charging what I would think was a healthy amount. And the other guys, do you think they cared that they were charging 4 times what I charged? Were they starving for work? Nope. They were just as busy as I was. You were going to say something, Lenora?
You had said about just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. And what you guys have said on here really has stuck with me throughout the year because I used to have a baking business. And one thing in particular that really kept resonating a few times, and I know Holly's so infamous for saying this, that it could be the best thing that never happened to you and that it brought you somewhere else. And that's really, really helped me quite a bit shift from where I was. So I like that you had said, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. And I think that's really defining because I feel like that was more of a bridge than where I thought it was what I would be doing for the rest of my life. So
Squirrel.
Go get it.
Have you taken the time to both mourn the loss of that business and appreciate where it brought you to?
Very much so.
It took me quite a while. I didn't understand that I needed to mourn the loss of my photography studio, which kept me locked down.
Yeah. I think that's why it took me so long to come out of the pretzel dips, is because it was like I was still holding on to it. And I finally made the decision to completely close it down because it wasn't going where I thought it needed to go. Squirrel questions.
Yes, questions.
Love the humor, Aaron.
I have many questions pop up everywhere. Well, now that we got that covered, I suppose we could move on to some of the stuff that I posted on my Facebook pages. And this week was people change, psychopaths, narcissists, and entitlement. And one other thing I forgot to write down because I had a squirrel run in front of me and I chased it. I'm going to start with the people change when, and this came from an Instagram short by John C. Maxwell, who I was lucky enough to thank you. People change when meeting people, psychopaths, narcissists, and entitlement. The people change when. John C. Maxwell, for a while, was a pastor at Skyline Church in San Diego, and learned a lot of really cool stuff from him. If you get a chance, study some of the stuff that he does, read some of his books. Just very insightful, great speaker, of course. And he had one called People Change, the 4 things that cause people to change, people change when. And one is when it hurts enough that they have to. When they see enough that they're inspired to. When they learn enough that they want to. And when they receive enough that they are able to. And there's a whole lot of stuff packed into that short little breakdown. The first one immediately reminded me of a great joke that I heard about a young man from the city goes to see grandpa out in the country, and they're sitting out on the front porch and they're just sipping their tea and having a chat. The old dog is sitting on the corner of the porch and has just got that low moan. And the young man looks at his grandpa and goes, "Gramps, what's wrong with the dog?" Gramps looks and goes, "Oh, I reckon he's probably sitting on that nail again." The young kid was like, "Well, why doesn't he move?" Gramps says, "Well, I reckon it doesn't hurt enough yet." And how many people do we know that will sit there and cry and complain but they won't do anything about it because it doesn't hurt enough yet.
My job sucks. I hate it.
Why are you still there? Because it doesn't hurt enough yet. My relationship. What are you doing about it? Well, I'm complaining. Because it doesn't hurt enough yet. And how many other things can we apply to it?
I just can't lose weight.
Okay, what are you doing about it?
Complaining about it.
This doesn't hurt enough yet. Now, obviously, there are the other three that can be applied to it. Maybe they haven't seen enough. They haven't seen people that have been in the exact same situation that have gotten out of it. They needed somebody to give them inspiration. Maybe they don't know enough. Maybe it's a software issue. Especially when it comes to weight. A lot of people think that you have to drink water, eat cardboard, and show up at the gym with a bunch of gym rats sweating around you to be able to lose weight. And they don't realize how many options are out there. Receive enough. Yes, Laura.
I think sometimes people, especially with the world that they see, they just accept it and they keep letting it get pushed a little bit at a time because that's what you do. And you just accept it. And people to really stand up and say to yourself, like, I want something else. I want something more, especially after you have all this programming, really is quite a challenge to do and to really find that ongoing support in that network. Because I can scroll through Instagram and feel really inspired by those people. But then when I would put my phone down and come back to here, it's just kind of like, this is just how it is for us. And they just let that really sink in and settle in. And it's very, very heartbreaking. And, especially because we so know that we can help other people and that we want to, but to really for them to allow people to help is a totally different story.
Correct. And so we have to, as people of agents of change, those of us that are out there to help people, we have to be able to ask questions, dig down. What is it that is preventing the forward movement? Is it I don't know how. I don't have the money to. I I I've never seen anybody do this before, or yeah, I just don't want to put the work in.
I'm just gonna add one to that. This is, of course, everything I need to hear, so even commenting feels a little bit hypocritical. But for those of you, any of you who know who Matthew Hussey is, he talks about sometimes too that if you're in a fight, maybe it's punch number 8 that's going to knock your opponent out. And too many people get to punch 7, notice that their opponent isn't knocked out, and give up when they were literally one punch away.
Yep. Yep. All of that's where we keep telling people, you don't know how close you are until you get there. But the day you quit is the day you lose. Wayne Gretzky, how many shots do you miss? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Yes, Lenora.
I think the quote that you had meant, the question you had said last week, which resonated and resounded in my head a million times. What do you like best about the pain you've been going through? And even like, what do you like best about holding yourself back, and really drawing your awareness to the fact that it is holding you back, and that, and I was helping somebody through something, and I said, okay, like, let's just put it out in front of us like it's a lab, like when you were in science class, and let's dissect it, because that way they were able to see it completely differently, and it didn't feel very personal. It was like, oh, okay, like let's dissect the eyeball or whatever it was. And it really helped them see, okay, well, maybe it is serving, and having that spin and just kind of that aha moment of like, oh, okay. And it's not in an attack way. I thought it was really extraordinarily powerful, that question.
Thanks.
Thank you for sharing it.
Well, and sometimes just the profoundness, the ability to know how to ask profound questions is enough to shock people into the analysis right there. I love asking people, what do you like, that are smokers, and I love asking them, what do you like best about smoking? And I can legitimately ask them that because I used to be a user of nicotine. Notice how I almost said I used to be a smoker. That was not my identity. I thought it was. I was just a user of nicotine. But when I ask people that, the look on their face is like, what? And especially if they say, well, nothing. And then I'm like, all right, so when would now be a good time to quit? Yeah.
I have a question. Would you ask somebody who really likes to drink the same question? What do you like best about drinking? And I know this kind of, it borders a little bit on alcoholism.
I like to hit them with both then. What do you like best about drinking? What do you like least about drinking? Your mic's off.
How do you amplify the pain to help them flip? Sometimes I know we'll like turn up the volume on the pain of something that says like, okay, well, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? And they entertain it, but it's not enough to get them to shift. How is that? How would you maneuver through that?
Drill down values and criteria, and then amp up the pain inside of the values and criteria. Okay. What have you lost? What have you lost from drinking? What if that got even worse?
Mm-hmm.
especially now with laws regarding it, or even if it's not drinking, if it's illicit drugs. I've had a couple of clients that, were finally admitted that they were into illicit drugs. I'm like, you do understand with fentanyl now, this is basically playing Russian roulette, but instead of one barrel out of 5 having a bullet, you probably have 3 barrels, or 3 out of 5 with a bullet in it. But again, which one would where would that go? Is that, hurts enough, see enough, learn enough, receive enough? And there's obviously lots of combinations inside of there. And in the end, I don't know that any one of those matter if they do not want to change at some level.
I found that the person I was talking to did want to change, but not enough to commit right then and there.
Yep.
It was like I still want to have 2 drinks a day and just not be so hungover the next day. Whereas I don't know if they were able to have that balance. It might have needed to be a complete cutoff for a period of time and then working that way forward. But I don't think they would have had the ability to do that.
You also want to find out who wants them to change.
Yeah. No, they had wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because if I get people coming to me for smoke cessation,
Mm.
and I ask them, well, why do you want to change?
Mm-hmm.
If it's not for them, not for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
my reaction right away is, well, then keep smoking, which also throws them off because they're like, well, I came here because yeah, you came here because your family wants you to quit, but you enjoy it. And we can dump a whole bunch of money into trying to get you to quit for them. And it might work. If we can find a reason why you want to quit for you, we have a much, much better chance of you quitting.
I have a quick question then. How do you handle it when somebody wants to change, if that makes sense? They don't actually want to change, but they wish they wanted to change.
That's like trying to drop a pencil. They want to try, but they won't. They have to make the decision that they're going to do it. You have to figure out, again, drill down to values and criteria, what's important to them enough to make them go through the work to do it. Elijah. I think he's got his hand up.
Does he know he's on mute?
Hello.
I was like, I feel like he's trying to find the button.
My bad. Sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say, if somebody says like they don't want to, but they want to, that's like me saying, I want to win the lottery, but I keep choosing the wrong numbers. Like the odds of me winning the lottery increase only, like, what's the word I want? Insignificantly, just by me wanting it. Do you know what I mean? Like, one thing's not going to do it. The thing that does actually increase your chance massively of winning the lottery is playing the lottery. And that you'll realize is an action, not a want. So the chances of actually getting what you want is by doing the thing that will get you what you want, rather than just wanting to want it. I know it sounds overly simple, but life is really not that complicated, and people just make it more difficult for themselves by overthinking things. Thank you.
I've had a number of clients that I've kind of hit. I said, well, it's unfortunate that you can't get paid for excuses, because with as many as I've heard already, you could have probably, just hired somebody to do it for you. Excuses are easy to find. I know. I'm not immune to the process, but I've worked on becoming much more cognizant and hearing my excuses and evaluating if they are legitimate or if I'm just looking for a way to let myself off the hook. And there are many ways of tracking and getting support, especially in this day and age of communication. We have more communication options, and yet people are feeling lonelier than they ever have. We have people that have so many excuses until you ask them where have they been researching answers, what steps have they taken so far. I love asking clients in the consult, so what have you tried so far that hasn't worked out? And some of them have put some work in, and others have watched a video and called the clinic. That's about it. And yes, I forgot to mention earlier, I do offer a free 30-minute consultation. So if you have any questions or you want to see if I can help you with something, 30 minutes is your time to get a hold of me. If you want to just chit chat, you got free 30 minutes of my time. If you're looking for solutions, we will delve into as much as we can in that time to see if I'm a fit. If I'm not, I will do the best I can to find the best fit for you to make sure that you get the change you're looking for. What else? Where were we? Squirrel made me chase a console.
The things that you ask clients during the consult. What else? What other research have you done? What else have you tried that didn't work out?
Yes.
Excuses.
What was that? What was that, Holly, on excuses?
I just said, yeah, the response to people making excuses.
Yeah.
I also find that people highly underestimate what they're capable of, especially in this day and age with all the information that we have available to us on the internet. I've told many of them, have you researched the repair at all? Well, no, because I know I can't do it. Even if you're positive that you're incapable of doing it, you don't own the tools to do it, invest the time to do a little research on the project or repair so that you can ask qualified questions of the person you're looking for to do the work, and to ensure that you have enough of an understanding of the project to make sure that you don't get taken advantage of by whoever's going to show up. And I have a few clients and friends that I've pushed in that department and gotten the replies all of a sudden like,
Oh my gosh, I looked up fixing my da-da-da-da-da. I didn't think I could do it. It said all I needed was a pliers and a screwdriver. And oh my goodness, I did it. It took me forever.
I'm like, how long was forever?
An hour. I was so scared. You could have done it in 5 minutes.
Not the very first time I did it. Took me about an hour the very first time I did it. I just have done it about 300, 400 times. Now I can do it in 5 minutes. Kudos to you for investing the time to at least look it up and give it a shot. And the ones that drove me the most insane, the college kids I had to work with. Absolutely. I'm like, do you guys not know how to research stuff? Because I'm pretty sure you're probably you have internet connection. I know you do. I know. That dryer could have been fixed.
Well, it's not our dryer.
Well, it's a damn good place for you to practice, ain't it? Same with some of the projects I'm doing on this remodel. Even with as much experience as I have, I still will go back and look things up just to see if somebody hasn't found a better way of doing it. So does that, any other questions on that one before we switch gears, before I run out of time? Because obviously this is one of those subjects I could talk on for a couple days. Yes, no? All right. Let's talk about some fun stuff. Psychopaths, narcissists, and entitlement. That sounds like fun moving into the holiday spirit. Who's looking forward to the big family gathering?
When you wrap it up in a bow like that, good heavens. I like Elijah's comment.
Yeah, right?
This guy.
This guy. Jordan Peterson had a funny little snippet on this that cracked me up. He goes, alcohol is one of the drugs that doesn't make people do stupid stuff. It doesn't make them forget the risk involved. If you ask a drunk person what the risk is, they can label every risk involved with it. They just don't care. It also is one of the few drugs that makes people aggressive. And most people that have injured another person were drunk. Most of the people that have been injured were drunk. He said, now, wait till the Christmas party where everybody's drunk. Go home and go visit your relatives and drink with them profusely if you dare. Which I found amusing. But the reason I brought up psychopaths, narcissists, and entitlement, this is going to be the time of year where if you're educated in what those people look like, that family gathering may become a whole new different show to you. It's worth doing a little research, a little investigating, just to know what it looks like, sounds like, smells like. And I popped this together because it's amazing how some of the narcissists have such interesting views on what they have done to serve you. And I was working with a client in the last 7 days, and they'd been dealing with a narcissist that was renting a room from them and wanted to be more than just a renter, and got offended when the feelings were not shared. But one of the comments was, I've always been nice to you. I brought you a nice cold drink. They're like, from my kitchen, in my glass, in my house, after you made yourself one. And I didn't ask for it, didn't want it. Then you didn't acknowledge the meal I made for you earlier before that. I went into your purse and brought you $1. From my purse? Yes. Well, yeah, but I brought you $1. Aren't you? You're just ungrateful. Okay. Anybody ever deal with anybody like that before?
My favorite are the narcissists that don't know that they're a narcissist. And it's just one of those things that you just accept about them. And you know that you can't share certain things with them. And that's just where they are. They're just going to stay over there in that little box. And okay.
Well, my client,
renting a room from you, though, that's a little bit harder.
right? Well, I was going to say my client finally got rid of them, but they won't stop calling. Even though they got blocked a couple of times, they keep circumventing and going through family and da 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 da. And so my client, I finally gave them, they decided in one of the protocols that we were doing in the control room that they were going to unblock them and simply consistently have a stone wall up. And so I said, well, here's one you can do. When they text you, constantly reply, the person you are trying to contact no longer exists. Please remove this number from all of your devices. Thank you. And all they did was put it in so they can copy and paste it, just like auto reply. sometimes the best way to fight them is to not be in front of them when they charge. Do the bull dance. Voila. Anybody got anything they'd like to add or share to that?
I had kind of a question on that one. In my experience with narcissists, I've been very lucky that I've taken precautions before I got to know them well. And by the time I got to know them well, for instance, they didn't know where I lived because I took the time to screen them. But I'm just curious, when you're in the process of screening people before you let them date you or, you know, live in your house or whatever the case may be, what are the quickest ways to catch somebody like that so that you don't accidentally give them too much access to your life?
Oh, the trifecta is the best way out there. Echo talk, 3 magic questions, values and criteria. Yes, ABT, always be testing. And for the clients that have been dating, the 1-year moratorium, the feedback that I've gotten from my clients, having the 1-year moratorium on dating has helped them so much because it took all the self-inflicted pressure off of them. I'm meeting friends, making memories, enjoying life, looking to meet new people. I'm not looking for a partner because I have to wait another 8 months, another 9 months. Well, now that pressure is gone and the testing results come back much clearer. And all you got to do is get people talking about themselves. Easiest way to do it. Echo talk, 3 magic questions, drill down to their values and criteria, and a narcissist will jump out of their cloak in full technicolor going, I'm here, I'm a narcissist. And when you're trained in that, you will just go, yes, you are. And that number I gave you, that person no longer exists. Please remove it from your devices. Thank you. Lenora?
And this might be reaching. I know you guys have talked a bit about Hakalau, and I know it came up a couple weeks ago, and Elijah had mentioned that when you get really good at it and you can sustain yourself, you can, I think he had said, even hear what other people are hearing. But at the same point, couldn't you also energetically connect with them to really see what that is and to keep really exploring that? I really do like the year time frame. I did not do a year time frame, but I really, especially in 2022, I could see the benefit, massive benefit of time framing.
Well, and with what the question you brought up on energy, when I'm working with my clients for relationships, those that are looking to find a relationship, I have a few protocols specifically designed for that. In one of them, I have them create a journal titled My Perfect Partner. And they write down every minute detail that they can think about of this person as though they have known them intimately for at least 5 years. Where they grew up, what they height, eye color, hair color, build, where they shop for food, what do they do for fun, what kind of car do they drive, what color is their car, how many doors, da da da. And I've, of course, there's always got to be somebody who does it different, and that's fine. And they're like, well, you can't be this specific, da da da. And I said, when you start building that protocol in your head, you start seeing them where they never were, where they were always there before, but you didn't see them because you thought you knew what they might look like. Then when they've gotten far enough into that, I will have them go into, we'll either do the garden, which is another protocol of mine, or the hologram deck. And I will have the avatar of their partner show up. And they will recognize not only the color or colors of energy in their person, but the color or colors of energy that it generates inside of them. And I've already had 3 or 4 of my clients who have come back. They met their somebody, and they knew it was their somebody almost immediately, which was a little bit of a challenge with the 1-year moratorium, because they're like, and I felt the green and pink energy inside of me, and when I closed my eye, I could see the yellow and blues in them, and it's super cool. And hey, Bram. But those are more ways of investing in yourself and into the process of finding that person. And then again, right back to always be testing. And take the always be testing with your person for the rest of your life. And my wife got offended the first time she heard me say that, because she was like, "Are you still testing?" And I said, "Yeah, of course." And she was thinking that I was, like testing her as to whether or not this relationship is going to work. And I went, "No, I'm testing to make sure that I'm still in alignment with you." Lillian Pearl Bridges gave me had a great analogy for relationships, because so many, here you go into the church and you get married and the vows and the two become one and and you're this intertwined entity and the two shall never be separated. And she went, "No. Everybody is in a canoe, for lack of, for visual. So we're all in our own canoes on the river of life. We're paddling along and we're, bumping into people, meeting people, and then all of a sudden you find that somebody and they got a really nice canoe and you really like the way they paddle, and you get married, but you don't get into their canoe. You're still both in your own canoe. You've just made a promise, a vow to paddle next to each other. So if you hit rapids or whatever, you're there to support each other. The problem is so many people, once they get the ring on, stop doing all the stuff that made them want to date in the first place. They stop dating, they stop compliments, they stop growing, they stop doing things, they stop date night, they get different interests, they identities change, they became parents, and then the kids moved out, and Next thing they know, one of them got off on a side tributary. And they didn't even realize it. Now you got a landmass between you. And you wake up one day and you're like, What are you doing way over there? Well, what are you doing way over there? And they have to decide, can they put in the work to get over the landmass and get back next to each other? And for some people, it's just too much work. But that's why always be testing. Where are you at? Are we still paddling on the same river? Did one of us get lazy and just hook the canoe on the back of the other one and go along for the ride because we were sick of paddling? So, always be testing, always be testing, always be testing, including yourself. I know, because I've been through enough experiments, experiences, and lessons that some of them could have been avoided had I been doing a little testing. Fran, you had your hand up.
I was going to say, well, look, if you see that the energy is not going where you wanted it to go, what next? What then?
That's where you have to evaluate the course correction and the plan of action. And are you working as a team? Are you working as an individual? Because just like with everything else, we don't know where this river goes. We don't know if we've got rapids in front of us. We don't know if there's if we're headed towards Niagara Falls. Or we don't know if we're on the nice part of the Mississippi where the river is flowing enough to where all you got to do is basically keep yourself from hitting the sides and you can go for years. Yes, Lenora.
I like how you pointed out always be testing even yourself, and what Fran had said, what do you do if you've noticed you've gone off course? And I know that it can kind of sometimes seem really daunting to like uphold other people to where you want to make sure that they're testing and still alignment and uphold yourself. But I was thinking the other day about gratitude, and so often I write down like things like that I'm grateful for, but even flipping it and acknowledging it about myself, like what am I grateful for that I did today, or what are the challenges that I noticed today for myself, and just being aware of it. So sometimes it's like a daily thing, and other times it might just be a weekly thing. But I think that was something really important to keep testing yourself to make sure that you're in alignment with what it is that you want to be achieving in whatever area that may be for that person.
And to add to that, when you find yourself angered or offended or hurt, time for more introspective. Test yourself. What was that about? Why did that trigger me? What part of that interaction was my portion? Because it's so easy,
They're just all their fault.
Really? Yes, friend.
I was going to say, I usually find that I'm angriest when I dig down, it was actually my fault in the first place. That really makes me angry with the other person.
I didn't say it was always easy. I know. I've had to eat crow and eat the feces sandwich, and hopefully you got enough ways to season it. and eat fast.
Or just get on with it and don't admit that you were wrong in the first place.
Yeah, too many people take it and throw it back at the person and tell it was all their fault. I know, been there, done that, still got the scar. Ooh. And that brings us to the top of the first hour, which imagine being wrong. Yeah, I've had that imagination show up in Technicolor a couple of times. But that brings us up to the top of the first hour, which brings my time to transition time to you guys, because I don't want to be just a talking head and make it all about my stuff. So anybody out there got anything that you'd like as a topic or help with, or comments, questions, or you want me to just ramble on, or what?
I know I'm out dipping in, and I'm sure Lenore wants something too, but I did have a question I'd love to get the group's feedback on. So it's the concept of, if you're running your own business, your revenue is not going to be consistent. It's not going to be predictable necessarily. And I'm realizing I'm so used to living in a world of predictable, to the point that, you know, how do you balance things? Like, can I take a little bit of time to sleep, or can I take a little bit of time to watch a TV show, or can I afford to go out to eat tonight, when you have no idea what your income's going to be, when you have no idea how hard you're going to need to work to get the basics covered this month? Any thoughts?
All right, my entrepreneurs.
Oh, Holly, like you hang out in my brain. It's an adjustment, because I was on a very strict every 2 weeks, knew exactly what was coming in. And it's taken the better part of a year. I think I'm at 10 months, and I just keep going, and whatever happens for good, and things are working out. And I will say this on repeat, and it's not like, oh, I won the lottery all of a sudden. It's that opportunities for work present themselves. And it seems like I'm working longer hours, but it's just in a different capacity. And I find ways to fill my time trains. Some have a cap on them because I worked by the hour, and others, I don't know what will come with it. You know, I sent out a variety of emails today. I don't know what will come from that. And it's mostly just an adjustment period of quite literally getting used to your numbers not looking the way that they did in the past, and that's okay. And just literally looking at them and going, okay, I have the basics covered. I have a roof over my head, I have food on my table, and I can put gas in my car, and I can heat my house. Okay, great. Everything else, I think, at least for me, I know I will get back to something. I can at least take care of these basic needs. I don't know what they're going to look like. And it's mostly just a ping pong game in my head.
Hey, Mo, you got any advice for
Yeah, basically what I would say mostly is what I do anyways. Is, like, I always have a slush fund, and when I hit that threshold, then I start to panic a little bit. But basically, I always have enough in reserve that if I didn't work for 6 months, it's not the end of the world, and that takes a lot of the pressure off. And one of the things that you're really good at, Holly, is image cycling. Imagine that. And basically, like TJ says, and you've heard lots of times before, wherever your focus goes, your energy will flow. If your focus is going into lack, guess what shows up? If your focus is abundance, I have more than I could ever hope for. Like, it's awesome, right? And it's funny how the universe will, once you're gonna get in that mindset, even when you think that I don't know where my next paycheck is coming from, it's just money just shows up, clients just show up, right? But you have to be constantly manifesting that and believe that I'm always taking care of it, right? And so if you just start image cycling the heck out of it, it'll all show up.
Yeah, that leap of faith is really scary, but if you really do leap and say, I don't know how this is going to happen, most of the time it will happen at least enough to get you by.
And multiple streams of income. That's why I talk about the side hustles and things of that nature. And thank you, Lenora, for bringing up the money train. Start enough different things that leave the caps of the cars open. The people that I've had a few times in my life where I was working corporate, work, get paid, 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 work, and you get in the cycle where every other Friday looking for that paycheck, and you take your foot off the gas. But because I'd been basically some form of additional income since I was like 8, my mom will verify, I always had side hustle going on, something going on. And so even when I left those jobs, I wasn't freaking out because I still had some side income coming in until I got a different job. And it took me long enough to realize that I'm not a very good employee. I just want to run the business. So I've decided I just need to be self-employed and have to make sure that a good portion of it is disciplining yourself to make sure that you are doing something every day somehow to keep moving towards your goal. Now, that doesn't mean you have to work 7 days a week, although one of the jobs is the best part about being self-employed is you get to work whatever 18 hours a day you want. But that work isn't always on the grind on the time clock. Sometimes what that means, your work is going out and meeting people, hustling additional contacts, leads, work, going to BNI, going to Chamber of Commerce, going places, learning how to promote yourself, learning how to improve your skills. Because people don't pay you for the hour that you're there. Jim Rohn said it great. You don't get paid for the hour of work that you show up at. If that was the case, everybody'd be a millionaire because all you had to do was show up at some place and spend an hour of your life there and you get paid. You get paid for the value that you bring to the marketplace. And a lot of people will get a set of skills and that's it. That's their comfort zone. I know how to put the bolt into slot A and tighten it up to this much, and then I put a washer over here. That's what I need. That's what I know. And they will make a lifetime out of doing that until a robot shows up and does it for them. And then they're like, well, now what do I gotta and they're 50. And you've invested 50 years of your life, and all you know how to do is put a bolt in a washer here? Lenora.
I find the quote where I think even Gary Vee says it, or we've seen it along the way, like even at 50 years old, you can still start something new, or you're never too early to start another dream. And I know at least I grew up thinking, once I'm done with school, I'm done. I got nothing else to learn. And that thankfully, amen, is not the mindset that I still have. Thankfully, it's long since gone, but how about it? But to recognize that what we do is a skill and it is a value that we bring to the marketplace. And it takes a lot of, at least for me, it's taken a lot of reframing, because it's something that I wanted to do. So I really didn't feel like there was a lot of value, because it's like, I like to do it. And rather than really looking at it going, okay, well, shit, people can't put together cookies the way that you do, or put in the time or the patience that you do into that. And look what else you've learned on top of it. And truly reflecting and recognizing, that's why I think that reflecting of, thank you for doing this today, Lenore, or whomever, that you want to say thank you to when you're talking to yourself, is really important, because it just helps raise your awareness of what you're doing, and that it does matter, listening to audios and a variety of things that we've all listened to. It really does matter. And because you're enjoying it, you almost think like, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal, when it really is a big freaking deal. And it should be absolutely recognized by you, the person that is doing it.
And the other thing, sort of leading on from that hour that you're paid for, remember all the hours that it took you to get to who you are, that you deserve that hour that you're paid for. And we never recoup that much. And not only that, but the hour that you do put in, all the preparation, all the work afterwards, that doesn't actually get paid for. So, the value that you're providing is a lot more than you're actually being paid for anyway. So don't be ashamed to ask for more. And I should be listening to this too.
Here's another thing. Start getting in with mastermind groups. Especially now with so much stuff out there, virtual ability. And one of the things that I challenge myself and all of you, where else do your skills fit in? Because we get so tunnel visioned into, this is what I know how to do. And then you find out somebody is doing something that you're like, what? You get paid to do that? Well, I've got all the tools and skill set to do that. I just didn't know that existed. And they pay you how much? How much? They pay you how much? What the what? And it's out there. I know.
Transferable skills, if you can sort of get into that mindset, are very valuable. One of the things I never thought I would really actually get to use was my learning how to do fire assaying, and from a raw ore through to a 6 decimal places prill of gold. But the learning has actually transferred into so many other disciplines and been incredibly useful, even though I haven't actually been a fire assayer specifically. But yeah, all the skills are incredibly transferable if you get your mindset around it.
Well, that brings really to the point where, as human beings, we need to thrive and grow. So it's very important that we're continually growing, continually learning, continually improving our skill set, no matter what that is. That you can sit and watch Housewives, and at the end of 2 hours, what have you gained? Or you can listen to an audio book on negotiation, and what have you gained? Where do you want to spend your time? And what do you want to do with your life?
Yep. And another thing, start looking all over the place at job openings. I mean, like everywhere. And not just in your niche. Sometimes you'll get inspiration out of a crazy job opening for something else that you never even thought of. And maybe you have only 80% of the skill set that's required for it, but you never even knew that job existed. In fact, I helped a buddy of mine in Cali got laid off from work and was looking for another job and was pretty depressed. And I just said, well, what do you like doing? What do you like doing? And I'm not talking work-wise. And I knew that he liked to hike. And I said, you do realize that they have positions for hiking trail maintenance. You get paid to hike and take care of the hiking trails like you've been doing on your spare time from the job that you hated. And he was like, like, you're just, they don't pay you though, do they? I went, yeah, they actually pay quite well. So yeah, he now is trail maintenance and gets paid to basically be hiking with tools and fixing up the trails that he loves to hike on. By the way, I'm trying to figure out which one is Elijah. Are you the little red one with the cap on, dude?
I'm neither. That's Toe Jam and Earl.
There you go.
Toe Jam and Earl. Well, I guess if you know, you know. Guys, if you know, hit me up in the comments section that you know about Toe Jam and Earl. If you don't know, then it's okay.
Did you get an? Did you have any other questions you needed answered on that, Holly?
Love all the feedback. Thank you. It'll probably take me a while just to even process that much. So thank you.
Well, we've got 40 minutes left, so.
Well, I'd like to hop back to the relationship conversation that we were having earlier.
Okay.
What happens if you find that your person is somebody so out of your normal field of possibilities? What then?
I've got a great answer, but this is your guys' time, so somebody goes first. What, Elijah?
Do you mean what then? Like, I don't understand the question. Can you expand the question?
Well, when somebody's so out of what you thought was on your radar.
Wait, are you already with the person? Are you already with the person, or are you trying to get the person?
Still investigating.
Okay, so we're not with the person yet.
Yeah.
But we're pleasantly surprised by that this person is within.
Gobsmacked would be a suitable term.
Within reach. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Then you remind yourself that, yeah, of course these types of people are in reach, and even more people should be in reach because I'm amazing And then you reinforce that I'm amazing. And then when you feel really, really good, then you continue forward, feeling good, knowing that you're amazing. And that even more people should be within reach.
I would like to add,
Jody?
I've just got to adjust my mindset.
well, one of the things that happens, Fran, is we sort for what's familiar. So when we choose partners and when we're looking for people, we go back to what's familiar, and it's the box we put ourselves in and we put them into. And most of the time, those boxes that we're choosing, those people aren't working out for us, right? So we have to do a reframe on that, and we have to be open to what the universe is providing for us. So sometimes the universe will provide you this hairy tattoo guy, and that's totally out of your realm, but they have the softest heart, and they just melt you, right? Like who knows what it's going to be, right? You have to be open to what shows up and be willing to investigate it, you know? And how does it make you feel? You know, does it lighten you up?
Well, especially since I've known this person for more than 20 years, and all of a sudden he's in my radar. But, you know, who knows what's
DJ
going
actually had a really good story about that.
Yeah. Tell me more.
When I do my protocols, part of why I do them is to get us out of our conscious mind of, this is what I like. Well, how's that been serving you so far? Or, I'll know when I see it. Yes, maybe, probably not, because you would have already seen it. Most of the time, they've been around you for quite a while, but you had your mindset on this, so you didn't pay attention to them because they were familiar in a different form, in a different realm. And that's the other reason why, again, I have my clients do the My Awesome Person journal, where they go through and write down every minute detail, and they keep going back through it. And it has to be handwritten. I don't care if you can type 9,000 words a second with zero flaws. The energy transference when you use your hand to write this down is where it gets connected. Now, I also tell them, keep going back over that list constantly, because what you're going to find is things will change. Your subconscious will go, no, that's not right. And you'll change it and you don't know why. One of my clients, I've told this story many times, but for those of you that haven't heard it before, if you're watching this recording for the first time, she had tried everything. Attractive lady, but she'd tried online dating and blind dates and tarot cards, and I think somebody waved a chicken over her head one time, and I don't know. And so I told her that I would like to work with her, and told her, to write the journal. Oh, I've already done that. I said, good. Then you've already got part of the work done. I want you to go over it again and bring it to me next time, and we'll go through my protocol. Went through the protocol, and she comes out of trance and she goes, they said he has salt and pepper hair. I've never been attracted to men with salt and pepper hair. I'm like, I haven't said that phrase, and that did not come from me, I promise you. 2 weeks later, I show up at the club. She runs up, gives me a big hug, and whispers in my ear, he has salt and pepper hair. I'm like, he does? She's like, Yeah, it turns out to be somebody that was in our group for 2 years. But because she was so focused on men with brown hair with a certain different build, she knew him but didn't see him. Does that make sense? And then I'd walked her through values and criteria and always be testing and all this stuff. And they're still together. They've been together ever since. Total match. Another story from one of my clients, another female, ironically, had her going through the list, and I like to ask them, what kind of car do they drive? Because a lot of people connect their identity to their vehicle. And she said, he drives a BMW, okay, 2-door, 4-door. 4-door. What color? Red. What color interior? Black. Moonroof or sunroof or none? None. I remember this because I'm a car dude. So I'm envisioning this car, which is showing me the personality of the person that she's talking about. Well, she admitted she had been going through doing her homework, and all of a sudden, for some reason, had to change the car color to, I think the original was black, and then she put down red. Well, the next session that we had, after about 6 months later, she's like, "You're not going to believe this." I'm like, "Try me." So she meets this guy, checks off all sorts of parameters on her checklist, including he drives a BMW, a red one. She was like, "I couldn't believe it was red." He says, "Yeah, I just got it. I used to have a black one with a red interior." She was like, "Oh, that is so weird." I went, "No, that is so real." She said, I remember the day that I just out of the blue was going through it and read black BMW red interior, and just for some reason I was just like, no, red. So yeah, because source, whatever, knew that they were out there, but you wouldn't. I said, "Have you ever dated a guy with a BMW before?" "No, I always went for the guys with the big trucks." Yes, Lenora, when you hear things like this, it's like, how can you not trust the universe and your connection? The problem is too many don't trust it.
Why? I hate that.
It's scary. You know, when you've got everything on the line, it's scary.
Or it's too woo-woo.
That too.
Too many. Yeah, watch too many movies.
That only happens in the movies.
Where do you think they came up with it? And why not you? You're the director, lead, editor, and everything of your own story, your own movie. You get to write it.
And it's so easy to forget what the other sort of side good things are, even if it doesn't come off, that it does force you to look at the world in a different way, to reassess and reevaluate and appreciate things that maybe you'd forgotten to look at. So, you know, it's a good wake-up call, whatever.
And a squirrel just came across. Here's the other thing. You were probably not ready for them yet, and they were not ready for you. That lesson hit me hard with my wife. I got married for the first time at 53. because I was not ready for marriage. No, no. Needed to do a little work on myself. My former girlfriends will verify. Had a little issue with push-pull. And the fact that my wife was married at the time. She wasn't ready to meet me. I was not ready to meet her. So if you've been through a number of relationships or just haven't found the right one, it's in the timing. They may not have been ready for you. You may have changed so much in your life that had they met you 20 years ago, when you were with that other one, you wouldn't have picked each other, or you wouldn't have lasted with them anyway. Because that was the old version of you that wasn't ready for the relationship that you're ready for today.
I got a question. I got a question for you, DJ.
Yep.
So what happens if you've got, like, you do your criteria list and everything else, and you've got certain things that maybe are negotiable and non-negotiables on there, and somebody shows up and they check off, say, half of those things, but then there's like maybe a physical component, there's a lot of other things that you're maybe accustomed to with part of your old box or whatever it is. How do you get over that when they check off some of the criteria they check off are absolutely wonderful, and some are just so foreign to you that hardly feasible?
Anybody want to address that before I do?
That's an interesting one, Maurice. I would say the way that I heard this was sometimes there are things that are stronger, that those other components aren't nearly as important as they were, and they kind of, these other ones that are really important to you rise up, and these other ones don't really matter as much. But I don't know if I got the entire question that you were asking.
So there's certain things that, like, let's say you're with somebody, there's certain things that are very, very appealing and maybe been foreign to you in other relationships, but they're very good for you in this relationship. But there's certain things that you're bumping up against that you're just having trouble getting your head wrapped around, or trying to trouble moving. Like, for an example, like, let's say you're used to a certain hair color, a certain body type, or a certain something like that, and these people don't fit that criteria, but they fit a lot of other criteria.
Wishes, wants, and must-haves. Values and criteria that built them. What makes them important? No offense, hair color, it's more important for women because much less of us guys color our hair. For us guys, we don't even know if that's their original hair color. We may have wanted a brunette. She's a blonde, but we didn't know it came out of a bottle. Only the hairdresser knows, unless she doesn't see the hairdresser for about 6 months, and then you can probably tell. But when it comes down to other things, look at them again and evaluate. Is it a wish, a want, or a must-have? And are you pushing for a relationship before you get to know them, or are you getting to know them so that when you're ready, you have a relationship? That's why I do the 1-year moratorium, because it, again, allows you to have the excuse to evaluate and test. Doesn't mean you don't go out, you still go out with them. And I get the question from a lot, well, does that mean I don't get to have sex? No, if the timing's right, you're adults. Do what you need to do. But you still protect your position for a while, which allows you to see who they are from a different perspective. I was guilty of it back in the day. Meet somebody hot? Woo! Be mine, come here. Off the market, gotta be off the market. And you don't test them until you've been around them long enough, and then all of a sudden things start popping up, and you're like, ooh, how did I not notice that you are candy-coated psychosis? I wish I would have noticed before we got closer. And so it gives you that time to go out and have fun and spend time with them. Oh, and Elijah's question. Is it okay to chase someone who's married if you're convinced they're the right one for you? Because I'm pretty sure I have the skills to steal them away. Is it ethical, though? Let me ask you another question. If they're married and it works and you can steal them from them, is that one of the traits that you want in your person? Because why are they willing to cheat on their partner and leave them for you? And what will prevent them from doing that to you? Now, if they're in a shitty, abusive marriage and they're just sticking in because they've been conditioned that their life is going to be, devastated and stuff like that, then you can, decide how you want to go about that, invest the time to test, find out who they are, give them a chance, an opportunity to end it for the right reasons. But make sure that you're not the rebound, rescue, jump to island, because I've seen enough of that as well. Number of years of being a bartender and a bar stool therapist and all the above, and who's cheating who and who's being true and who don't even care anymore. Everybody's tip-tapping away on off-screen comments, so did that help, or did it muddy up the water more?
No, I think there's no rights and wrongs in this. It's just when you're faced with it, you have to reconcile with yourself.
Oh, Elijah popped in there. He feels like I dodged the question. Well, if it comes down to ethics, whose ethics and what is ethical, that's a very debatable. There's not enough information to give permission. Again, I don't know what their relationship is. I've seen plenty of people in terrible relationships. And of course the ones, well, why are you still together? The kids. That answer bugs the snot out of me, because the kids know. I don't care if you are award-winning actors and all the above, the kids know. I know, because my mother finally came to me when I was 28, said that she was thinking about leaving my father. And I said, within a second, I said, well, it's about time. She was like, what? So you don't think I know you two have been basically roommates since I was like 15? I mean, I love them both, but they forgot how to date, and they were basically roommates taking care of 3 kids. So pretty much they're not truth with a capital T here. Not sure what you meant by that, Aaron, but
I think he was talking about um, what Elijah had said up here. He had said, I feel like you dodged a question. And then when you had said it comes down to a question of ethics, and he said, exactly. So wherever I draw the line is correct. And ultimately it is your perception of what you think, at least from my perspective, Elijah, if you're going that point, like what is ethical for you may not be ethical for me, vice versa, and for anybody there. So in that sense, that's a very personal perspective. And I don't think any of us could actually answer that to the satisfaction that you are wanting for yourself, which, makes sense.
oh yeah. He without sin cast the first stone.
I don't think you can really make a blanket comment for anybody, because theoretically it's morally incorrect, but there are situations where
Yes.
you just need to do it, or where there is a toxic relationship and that person just hasn't had the ability to remove themselves. Everything's different. Everything's individual. I don't think anybody can point fingers, cast stones until they've been there. And if you do, the universe has got this funny little trick where you might find yourself on the other side of the situation and experiencing it from the opposite dimension. The bits that you criticized are happening to you.
I agree with you, Fran. And the reality is, if this is truly your person and you're truly meant to be with them, then the universe will provide the right timing for that to occur, and you don't need to force it.
I'll just throw in there too. I think that, that comment about where you draw the line is where it should be. I absolutely agree with that, but just check in with your gut and ask, what is my motivation? Is this the answer that feels like growth? It's the thing that's the right thing to do, and I just know it? Or is this the answer that feels like, hey, I just want to see what I could get away with, and I want to see if I can manipulate a situation, or, and I know those aren't the only 2 considerations. There's a million considerations, but just the point is, just be honest with yourself of, does it really feel like the right thing? Or does it not feel like the right thing, but you want it to be the right thing, if that makes sense?
And you also need to be aware of the fallout zone. Who else is going to be affected or damaged by what you do if you go ahead? Are the children, the breaking up anybody's relationship, or even if it's not directly, even if it was already broken up, but you're kind of moving in, you'll still have the finger pointed at you, likely. And there will be, it's not consequence free. You have to be able to evaluate what the pros and cons are and then make your decision after that. And it's not easy, whatever.
And what baggage are they bringing into the new relationship?
Yeah.
Because they're not complete with the last one if you've moved in too quickly.
And understanding, no matter how rich or how cute they are, someone is sick of their feces. Proven every day in Hollywood. Some of the richest, most amazingly attractive people on the planet been divorced 15 times or can't pull the trigger, or 38 relationships, or so yeah, all sorts of nuances and angles and possibilities. And like I say, after enough years of bartending and all the above, I've seen plenty of stuff. Anybody got any other questions, topics, options that
In my head, Elijah, it feels very like, did you ever see the movie Love Actually? Like in my head, there's signs involved.
what else we got? I had a squirrel earlier, but it made it to the tree and ran to the top. Now I can't find it. Somebody shake the tree. Oh, we don't have anything. I got a great movie quote for you guys to chew on and dissect. And I wish I knew what movie it was from. I really do. So if anybody knows, or you can research it, that'd be awesome. But the quote was, "Do something with your life. Shoot for a target, even if you don't know what it is. Sometimes it's worth it just to hear the gun go off." I'll read it again. Do something with your life. Shoot for a target, even if you don't know what it is. Sometimes it's worth it just to hear the gun go off. What else we got? One that I came up with while talking with somebody was, I said, I used to think other people were different until I outgrew my tribe. I used to think other people were different until I outgrew my tribe. Then I ended up being the different one. And I found a different tribe.
That makes more sense when you finished it.
I wanted you to have that shock of going, "Darr?"
Did you see the 16 question marks around my head?
Yes, they were dancing profusely. Happiness always looks small when you hold it in your hands, but let it go, and you soon learn how big and precious it is. Happiness always looks small when you hold it in your hands, but let it go, and you soon learn how big and precious it is.
Can you say that again?
Happiness always looks small when you hold it in your hands, but let it go, and you soon learn how big and precious it is.
Oh, I love that one.
If only we'd stop trying to be happy, we could have a pretty good time.
Right on.
I'll read that one again. If only we'd stop trying to be happy, we could have a pretty good time.
Just relax and be yourself.
Yes. A truly happy person is one who can enjoy the scenery while on a detour.
Sounds like my driving in the city.
I'm going to read that one again. A truly happy person is one who can enjoy the scenery while on a detour. My grandmother taught me that when I was a little kid, and well, not a little kid, I was a young teenager driving her 79 Thunderbird monster aircraft carrier, two-door. The doors weigh more than some of today's cars. The hood was about 20 feet long, had a 400 cubic inch fire breathing, gas burning, and I was driving it around Grand Forks, North Dakota at 14 years old. Driving Grandma and her friend Greba, Mrs. Gotrocks. And we'd always take the scenic route. Sometimes it was just, I would go, well, what's down there? I don't know. And I would just turn. And I'd go into a whole different part of town. Look at those houses. I've never been here. I'm like, Grandma, you've lived here for how long? You've never been in this area? No. So after a while, we just started doing the scenic route. Go for a little drive about. Find a new part of the town. See something we hadn't seen before. Good times.
I hate the scenic route.
Not anymore.
Apparently not. Because I'm just seeing like all these times where I'm like, no, take the highway. It's faster. It's faster. It's faster.
Well, I tend to accidentally take the wrong highway. Therefore, I have unexpected little adventures.
Yes.
And so I have to learn to enjoy the adventure and the scenic route and figure out where the hell I am. Where the heck I am, anyway.
Elijah posted, the meaning of life is just to be alive. It's so plain and so obvious and so simple. And yet, everybody rushes around in a great panic as if it were necessary to achieve something beyond themselves. A lot to be said about slowing down, taking the time to smell the roses. You can be angry that rose bushes have thorns, or you can be happy that thorn bushes have roses. It's the same flippin' bush. It's all in how you look at it. And Lenora, you can still enjoy the detour driving fast. This winding
like
road
how
is
you added the
amazing.
disclaimer.
Check this out. Get out of my way. I got places to go.
Pretty much. Yeah.
We'll get you a cow catcher for your car.
Yes.
Everybody out the way.
It's a brilliant idea.
That was one of the things that I loved about the motorcycle group from our church was the leader had enough time, grew up in the area. He would pick a restaurant we hadn't been to before and then figure out the longest scenic route to get to that restaurant. And it was just fun to be riding around going, I have no idea where we are. None. I'm not worried because I have a cell phone. But got to see parts of that countryside that I only got to see because I set aside that part of a day. Even as an entrepreneur, even though I didn't have a whole lot of money in the bank, I knew that I needed some me time with some of my buddies. And that's why my motorcycle has about 94,000 miles on it. Because we would just go out and we'd put 400 or 500 miles on in a day and never leave the county. Just do, 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 do. So there's a challenge for you guys. Sometime in the next week, if you're out and about, even if it's just going around one block that you've never been down before, or one little street, going to the grocery store and you're like, I've never been down that road. Even if it's a dead end and you don't find out till you get to the end of it, see if there's one thing along that route that is cool. You might find that place that has amazing architecture or a really cool car, or find out that there's some little park hidden back there that you never even knew existed. Or you could find out that it's a worthless road that you would never want to live on, and now you know. Oh, squirrel, big squirrel, right in front of the road. End of the year is coming up. The time where we get to help all sorts of people with what? Their New Year's revolutions. I'm going to revolve my life into a whole new direction. Remind them that they can also change their life on crazy days like Monday or Wednesday. They don't have to wait for January 1st. In fact, today is probably a better day to start changing your life than January 1st anyway, because everybody's out there trying to do the same kind of thing with the same kind of challenges, doing it the same way they did for the last how many years that didn't work, not looking for different ways to do it different to make sure that this time they succeed.
Well, in order to be successful at it, you really have to have a strong why.
And to quick recap on the very first thing we talked about tonight, I know some of you got in late and it's on the recording, but John C. Maxwell, 4 things that make people change. 1, it hurts enough that they have to. 2, they see enough that they're inspired to. 3, they learn enough that they want to. And 4, they receive enough that they are able to. And how are we going to identify them to help them out in the new year as agents of change to help people get the change they're looking for? And with that, that brings us to the top of the second hour, which means Triple T number 50 is coming to a close. As always, I am so appreciative of you guys showing up each week, not only to support me, but to make content that is hopefully worthwhile for people to invest their time to watch the recording and hopefully find something that inspires them to change for the better. As always, if you've made it this far, or if you're watching the recording, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you know when these new recordings come up. Leave some comments, share with others, go out into the world and be nice to people, be nice to yourself. Thank you so much. Love you all. We only got 2 of these left, and I realized like 2.5 hours ago Next Tuesday, I'm going to be on the road driving to Phoenix, Arizona. So we may have a surprise guest in my place taking care of y'all. So we'll see who I can recruit. Santa Ghost? Woo, Santa! Yeah, Santa Ghost. Santa Ghost will show up in a beautiful red sheet and help you all with. So if you guys have some topics over the week, please put them together to help whoever is gracious enough to help me out with helping you guys out. Does that help? Yeah, it's been a long day. I should probably say goodbye now. Love you all. Take care. See you back here in with somebody in 7, for sure in 14.
Bye. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.